Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm so excited for today's installment of Trailblazers We Love because I am going to introduce you to, or reintroduce you because you probably already know her, to a great friend of mine, Melissa Hill Dees. Welcome, Melissa.
Hi, Shannon. I'm so excited to be here and talk to you.
Melissa, I'm so excited to hear a little bit of your story. I want to start by asking you, how in the world did you get started in the Salesforce ecosystem?
So, ironically, I started in computer science, air quotes, 100 years ago, and that was the thing to do, and did not want to be a programmer. So, wound up in sales. Did that in corporate America for 15 years, married, had a baby, was home with the baby, and got bored. And so, working with some local folks in sales and marketing and trying to help small mom and pop shops who were, this must have been 2008. They were trying to compete against the big boxes that were really encroaching and coming in then. And so I was looking for ways that they could be better with their customer service, have an online presence, and I found Salesforce. And in 2008, it was more than I could afford for them and more they could afford. But had the opportunity to work for a nonprofit a couple of years later that was leveraging Salesforce and fell in love. Was one of those people that installed NPSP back before there were instructions, you know.
Yikes.
It was that's you want to learn how to do something, and my developer team will tell you, I just push buttons until something happens. So
I love
but
it.
fell in love with it and really decided that that was such a great way to amplify the impact that I was able to have on making the world a better place. And so that's where I fell in love with Salesforce.
This is remarkable. And I love it because, we reach back so far to the days where you were sometimes just poking around, hoping you were doing the right thing. But now there's so many resources, right? Salesforce has such a variety of resources. I want to know, inquiring minds want to know, Melissa, what is your favorite Salesforce resource?
My very favorite Salesforce resource is the community itself, the community of people. If you've talked to me for 5 minutes, if I love anything more than Salesforce, it's the people that make up the Trailblazer community. And there's such a vast amount of knowledge and creativity and innovation. And I, I love to read, but I have a hard time sitting down and reading. I honestly, they'll probably come get my MVP and take it away when I say I have never sat down and read through the entire release notes. Never. And I love to read, but no. um, and videos frustrate me, and I need to be able to ask questions. And the community is so good to do that. Jim Gilbert spent, I don't know, 30 minutes with me one day explaining TDTM. And I was like, revelation. This is brilliant. I love this. And I got it, in that 30 minutes that he spent with me, literally like this year. So the community definitely is my favorite resource.
I love that response. And I think that will resonate with so many people because this is a community of people who just want everyone else to succeed, which is so different than most other industries or places you've worked where everything feels so competitive. And I think one of the things that is so remarkable about the community is everybody's so willing to give. And, just like you're doing today, sharing your story, I think everybody's going to be excited about hearing these things from you. I want to know what you think is the most underrated Salesforce product or best kept Salesforce secret. And I already know you're not going to say the release notes.
Definitely not. I really think the best kept Salesforce secret is the open source commons community sprint. I was lucky enough to get involved in what they called, just the salesforce.org sprint at the time. It's been 4 or 5 years ago. It wasn't the very first one, but it was early on. And never forget that experience. And Judy Son was put that together, and we were in Chicago, and it was in conjunction with Midwest Dreaming and with the very first Witness Success. And again, such an opportunity to learn and to contribute. I'm not as technical. I don't write code, but to be able to contribute something to the community and to give back and to learn at the same time. And what most people don't realize is that you don't have to be a part of the nonprofit vertical or the higher ed vertical to participate in a sprint. If you're looking for a way to use your volunteer time off, come and join us in a sprint. I think that diversity of having the corporate brains that probably have already solved challenges that nonprofits are looking to solve would just be invaluable. And so I would encourage anyone to come and join us for a sprint, especially now they're virtual right now.
I love this so much. And I love that you brought up the idea of diversity of thought. And I think a lot of times, especially when you're so deep in an industry, you do think alike because that's a shortcut, right? That's a shortcut to get to where you're going. But Salesforce has done such a good job of decidedly saying, we've got to mix it up. We need a different variety of people. People will bring different lived experiences. People will bring different lenses. So I love that. That was a really good secret. Thank you for sharing that with us. I think people are definitely going to be looking that up, and I'll make sure I put some information about it in the show notes for this one. Now, one of the things that I don't know if I can put any links for in the show notes is I want to hear from you a Salesforce prediction. Do you have any Salesforce predictions, Melissa?
So I predict that before this quarter is over, that everyone's parents are actually going to know the Salesforce name. My mom is 84, and she's like, Melissa does something with computers. Right. I know we've had this conversation. Nobody's parents know what we do. But with the new commercials that are out on the Olympics, with Matthew McConaughey, I feel like Salesforce is going to be a household name. So at least my daughter's boyfriend was like, I'm not sure what your mother does. I think maybe she's a drug dealer, because
wow.
My husband's like, are you sure you're not a talk show radio host? Kind of like Fraser Crane, how can I help you? Because that's what I do all day long. So I feel like at least if the commercial doesn't explain what Salesforce is, at least it'll be a household name. And I've already heard, in the Twitterverse, some rumblings about that, oh, my mom got accosted by somebody who's like, Salesforce, isn't that what your daughter does? So.
That's so great. I love this prediction, and I think it's going to come totally true. We were watching the Olympics, and before I recognized it was a Salesforce commercial, I saw some words on the screen, and I said to my husband, that's the Salesforce font. That's the Salesforce font. And then it became immediately apparent to me that was a Salesforce commercial.
My husband, who doesn't do Salesforce, has just kind of been contagious for him. He's like, they were talking about crunching the numbers, it wasn't even the commercial, but they said crunching the numbers and on the athletes. And my husband was like, ooh, I wonder who did that migration.
That's incredible. That is so, look at the power of Salesforce. It just brings husbands into the fold.
It does.
This is so good. Oh, I love it. It's rich. I'm excited for Salesforce to become a household name too, because when you say you work with Salesforce, people maybe have heard of it, but it's not that instant recognition of Google, Amazon. And we know that we're changing the world in such amazing ways that it's really cool for this secret to be let out, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Oh, I love it. So tell us one more secret, Melissa. My last question is, I want to hear something that is not Salesforce related that you love, a blog, a book, a podcast. Give us something else that you want to share.
So I love reading is my first love. I don't ever remember a time when I wasn't able to read, and I read literally every single day. Over the course of the past 3 years, I've read a lot of nonfiction because of my MBA. But I have a friend, B. Bocalandro, who wrote a wonderful book called Do Good at Work. And it is super exciting. I really feel lucky to be able, every day, I feel like the work itself that I'm doing, working with nonprofits, is making a difference. But if you are working at a bank or working at a grocery store, or you may not feel that same level of satisfaction. And so B's book does a great job of talking about how to gain satisfaction doing good at work, no matter what your job is. So I would really highly recommend it for employers, employees. The job satisfaction scale just goes off the charts, if you can ever accomplish that.
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing that. And I'll make sure I get that link from you as well, because it sounds like a book I would like to dive right into immediately. And I think that is going to be something that people are going to be appreciative of. So thank you, Melissa. That's so
Sure.
cool. Any final parting thoughts that you want to share?
No, just grateful every day to be with this community. I think you made an excellent point. I've been around long enough that I've been in a lot of different communities. I'm a joiner. I love people, and I've never been involved in a community that was more determined for everybody to succeed. And that those competitive people may be, well, it's not even competitive because I'm very competitive, but something has shifted in that I don't have to be the only winner. You know, we can all be winners. We can all be at the top of our game. And that's just so different in the Trailblazer community than anywhere else.
I love that so much. I think we have to go out on that because it is such a beautiful parting note. Where can people find you, Melissa, if they aren't already following or interacting with you?
Any social media, it's Melissa Hill Dees on Twitter and LinkedIn and everywhere else. I have a little blog that I do on Medium, but it's Melissa Hill Dees everywhere.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us today, Melissa. It was a pleasure, as always, to talk to you.
Thank you.